distance to make it to the meeting today. But I think, actually, Sylvia mentioned this last time, this is a binational study, and we need everyone's participation to ultimately result with a fruitful outcome. So thank you again for traveling to join us today. I wanted to start with a blank slate and a few lessons learned. As part of this study, I've been doing a bit of traveling. I was able to get down to the Douglas Land Port of Entry and the San Luis Land Port of Entry since the last time that this group got together. When I was in San Luis, I was given the opportunity to tour the facility. Tom arranged that so that we could go through the port. And I was invited to see some of the queuing of traffic. And I was expecting to see a long line of cars, a long line of this, that, or the other thing. In San Luis, those of you who have been there have noticed that pedestrians and bicyclists are the big queues in that particular vicinity. And I was invited to come out and take pictures. So I asked the port director, well, Brooks, when should I come to see this queuing of pedestrians? And he said, probably between 3 and 5. I said, great, there'll be plenty of light, I can take some good pictures. And he said, no, 3 a.m. to 5 a.m. is when we start to have a queuing of pedestrians, most likely agricultural laborers coming across into the United States. So this here reminded me a little bit of being a child at Disneyland, backing up. Introduced, that pedestrian queue is back here. This is a bicycle queue. Going to an additional booth was added in San Luis to accommodate Century and to facilitate the many bicyclists that are crossing that particular port. Each land port is a little different. In Douglas, one of the things, and this is not uncommon in San Luis either, but southbound processing of vehicular traffic, well, and pedestrian traffic, is taking on a bit more emphasis, I believe. And in fact, maybe before I go on, Jimmy, would you mind giving a 1 or 2 minute talk about the strategic developments with CBP related to southbound inspections?
Customs and Border Protection currently within the state of Arizona runs outbound operations. In the past, we've done it in a spurts. We weren't able to sustain it, primarily because of resources. But in the last 3 years, under the ACTT, which is the special operations we've been running, we've been able to sustain outbound operations 24/7 at all our ports of entry. Actually, it goes back several years, almost about 8 years back. Congress mandated our agency to be able to do outbound inspections, basically mirror inbound inspections. But of course, we have the challenges of, well, I shouldn't say infrastructure, no infrastructure, other than to use the existing roadways. And the reason we have the outbound enforcement is, one is to stop illegal or illicit currency going out That way we can make a significant impact on the drug trafficking and alien smuggling organizations in Mexico. It's also to intercept and interdict weapons. Prior to that, we had a significant impact within the state of Arizona on stolen vehicles exiting through the ports of entry. And primarily most of the vehicles that were stolen that we were recovering were from Phoenix. Surprisingly, not so much the local community. We almost put a stop to that. Also limited a lot of the local burglaries and other things where they could exit. But last year alone, the ports of entry within Arizona have seized over $12 million, and we continue to follow that same pace this year. And then we seized over 27 weapons. We're getting ready to ship right now back east to our armory almost 180,000 rounds of ammunition. We have the largest inventory within CBP within the nation. And again, you look at our demographics, we're nowhere near the size of Juarez or Nuevo Laredo or Tijuana. So that's the one thing we've been able to demonstrate with our sustained enforcement. But unfortunately, part of the problems that we run into it significantly impacts the local community, because the roadways exiting were never meant for enforcement operations. We kind of operate, how can I put it, on the edge. We're literally inspecting at least the initial stop and inspection in the roadway. If we want to do a further inspection of the vehicle or the person, we move the vehicle into the adjacent port area. But also the other impact this also includes is the Mexican authorities. Mexican customs have also implemented a fairly robust, also using electronic equipment and everything, their own inspections. So combined with the two efforts and the limited roadways and infrastructure we have, we've seen significant impacts in traffic management and delays and frustration within the communities. We've been very fortunate that the communities and the states and our partners south of the border have worked with us in managing the traffic. Really what we need to keep in mind as we go forward with this project is where are we headed, both in Mexico and the United States, with our inspection processes, and how are we going to design those features in because it doesn't do any good if we're really good at processing north, and then we get the choke points and bottlenecks going south, or vice versa.